Chapter 202 to 204. Hey, that's interesting. So Sengoku has a daughter, huh? But to think that she got kidnapped by some random nobody, how careless. Either way, this is an opportunity. Or maybe not. If this was me from a few years ago, I would have rushed there right now and hypnotized her. But currently, I don't really see a reason to. Yes, I could use her against Sengoku in many ways, but that would have only been possible if that man didn't value his duty more than family. Just like Garp. I mean, I have gotten thousands of opportunities in my life. I accepted most of them with open arms, yet I couldn't take all the opportunities thrown at me. Who knows, some may even come and bite me in the ass. So I let fate play its game on this one and see where the story will go. I sat on the side of the bed where Vivi's sleeping body kept laying. Her eyes were closed and her breathing was smooth. She seemed fine despite getting her hockey sucked dry. Yup, it was a small miscalculation on my part. The converter of the ancient weapon that absorbs the electromagnetic wave in the air malfunctioned because of my sudden stop of time, so it sucked Vivi dry to keep operating. Would she be fine? King Cobra, who was sitting on a chair, asked with a worry-filled look in his eyes. Of course. I casually smiled. Look at her peaceful smile. How can she not be fine? You see, I am one of the best doctors alive right now, father-in-law. I didn't lie. I really was one of the best doctors alive. I wasn't born a doctor, of course. I worked my way through. Like I have said before, memorizing stuff is a matter of a second for me with my speed. So I had to just buy hundreds of different types of medical books and memorize them. That, compiled with the bit I learned before eating my devil fruit, caused me to reach the top of the world. I was no Vegapunk, but I had enough to hold my own. Speaking of Vegapunk, I have made some new theories on eating multiple devil fruits based on lineage formula, but that can wait for some other day. King Cobra heaved a sigh. I understand. Then I will be going. Today is a busy day. Take care. He got up, nodded at me again, and walked away gracefully. Ring, 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 ring. This was when my smart dial rang, and I raised an eyebrow at the caller. It's Hina. She usually calls at the end of the week and lets me know about the things that happened during that week. But today isn't the day. Wonder why she is calling. Plus, General Pov. That was interesting news. Hina, keep doing your job. Don't hold back against the straw hats. But don't go too hard either. Capture if you can, even while holding back. If not, then let them go. Amon's voice flew from the other side of the dial as Hina nodded. Yes, sir, as you wish. She said, I need to go now. I can sense someone coming towards my office. Hina cut the call as a knock fell on the door immediately. Vice Admiral Hina, we are ready to depart. Coming. Hina stood up from her seat while wearing a red suit underneath her marine cape and walked away. The rear admiral, who was asked to bring Sengoku's daughter back, has fled. So Sengoku has decided to choose someone more composed. He deemed that as Hina. Hina didn't mind, though, not that she could. Her lord, her savior, had asked her to keep her acting without making any issues. Amon Pov. This is good. Very good. Hina is assigned to go look for Alice, the girl. But, damn, this world is fucked up. Does the world, or in this sense, the universe, have a consciousness or something? I mean, it's basically creating a hurdle for Luffy so that he can make them his stepping stone and grow stronger. I am seriously considering killing that rubber boy. He is a threat, unlike how I thought before. Time to make a decision. Do I kill him? It won't even take 5 minutes for me to find out where he is right now and kill him and his crew. Previously, there was the problem of Garp, Dragon, and Shanks. But now, I believe I am strong enough to keep standing on my feet. So, do I? No, let's calm down. Luffy is important for my plans and Emu. Who knows? Maybe he can nullify whatever bullshit of a power Emu has. I am 70% sure I am wrong, but the remaining 30% is telling me to not make any rash decisions. I am planning to awaken my fruit, so I would be going through a DNA surgery before the War of the Best. But before that, I mustn't make any rash decisions. If Luffy must die, it can wait. Meanwhile, in the New World, Robin and Raki were on a mission. The Suzdal Kingdom is a country ruled by an old king. His country is pretty close to Fishman Island, but it isn't anything special, so none of the emperors had claimed it as their territory, at least until Amon did. Amon needed a country to use as a base for his juice factories. The current factories he owns now are all located in Paradise, so shipping the goods from one side to another is a pain. So 2 years ago, he claimed the Suzdal Kingdom using his authority as an emperor of the sea and started to produce different juices under the name Sky Inc. Everything was going fine until a neighboring country copied the formula of a few juices and started their own business. Amon didn't care at first, since the other company was too small to even be considered a threat. More so, considering the other party didn't even have enough funds to ship their products all over the world. The problem started from there. Big Mom took a fancy to the juices made by the opponent company. She claimed the neighboring country as her territory and started granting them funds, which elevated them enough to be a problem to Amon. Before Amon could decide what to do with this, while also not ruining his relationship with Big Mom by doing some miscalculations, the king of Suzdal Kingdom got angry on behalf of Amon, the savior of his country, and decided to declare war with the neighboring country. The result? The king was assassinated, and the Suzdal Kingdom is not only at war with another country, but there is a chance of a civil war happening soon because of the 3 princes fighting with the princess for the seat of king. Amon laughed, hearing this when Robin reported it. He said it sounded strangely like the plot of a third-class fantasy romance novel, though Robin didn't know what he meant. She, whose book reading amount is above 4 digits, hasn't ever heard of something like this. Anyway, now she was here to stop the civil war, while also stopping the war going on with the other country. She has to do it with great attendance to not make any mistakes. She should not make Amon worry while he is busy with Pluton. That wouldn't have been so much to ask if she was alone and this girl didn't tag along. I mean, I am bored, have nothing to do. Lifting weights is boring, swinging swords is boring, and training hockey is boring too. Why can't I come with you? As the older sister, it's your duty to look after me. Raki complained while wrapping her hand around Robin's neck. Robin sighed. You know what? Fine. Just don't do anything stupid. I don't want Lucy to come out from his important task to fight Big Mom because of your mistake. Raki grinned with her eyes shining. Heh, don't worry. I would not create any scene. No way. This girl? Robin had a bad feeling about this. New World, Suzdal Kingdom. At the western shipyard, a huge ship the size of a marine warship was getting docked. Gold adorned the ship gorgeously as it shone under the bright sun. People with wings on their backs rowed the ship while sailing a flag of the Einherjar pirates. The Einherjar pirates' flag was made of black cloth. It had a white human skull in the middle that was encircled by majestic purple lightning. While the government refers to Amon's people as Einherjar pirates, the group just refers to themselves as Einherjars. To them, they can be pirates if their god wants. They can be marines if their deity orders. They can be revolutionaries if their demon desires. So they avoid adding anything before their group's name, usually. There are 8 battalions among the Einherjars. 6 of them are under full control of the 6 sins. 1 is a commanderless team waiting for the emergence of the 7th sin, and the last team is composed of people like Rayo, Canis, Honey Queen, and Hina, the spies. Without counting the last 2, each of the battalions has a vice leader and multiple captains, since they are an extremely massive group. The actual leaders rarely do anything and mostly spend their time training or messing around. Being one of the leaders of one of the battalions, Rocky had a submarine under her name. Amon has officially claimed Tesoro's title of the richest man, so he was in no shortage of money. So with alien tech and Germa tech fused with Seraph tech, he has made submarines for each battalion. After all, a submarine filled with advanced weapons is always better than a normal warship. Rocky wanted to bring that exact submarine with her today, but she was quite disappointed, as Robin did not deem that as a good idea for this mission, and instead decided to use a normal ship. Thud. "So this is the place?" Reiki jumped down from the ship and looked around. The shipyard was a generic one. The people were generic too. A light of disappointment flashed through her eyes. I thought since this is the only base of Sky Inc. in the New World, there would be special things to see." Rocky was wearing a white jacket that reached her knees. The chain was open and revealed the black buttoned-up shirt under it. On her legs, she wore black short pants and high boots. Behind her, Robin slowly walked down a stair made of hands and stood beside Rocky. She wore similar clothes, but instead of a white jacket, she wore black. Robin said, "Don't be disappointed yet. The capital is beautiful enough," she added, "though it's nowhere close to Shandora, so I guess you won't be impressed either." "Huh. Well, guess that works too." Reiki sighed. "Anyway, I am just here to spend some time. It's fine as long as I am not bored." Reiki moved toward Robin and locked her arms around her neck, smiling cheekily. "I am sure it won't be boring with you here, Tehe." Robin used her devil fruit to sprout extra hands from her back and removed Reiki's hands from her neck. She surpassed a giggle and shook her head. "I thought you stopped pursuing me." Reiki shrugged. "I was just busy training. Now that I am free, I can mess around a little." She said, "Brother is not around to keep me in the watch too, so I am pretty free-minded right now." It was then as Robin frowned. She ignored Rocky's blabbering and focused. Her observation haki has just noticed something. All of the crowd had their eyes locked on them. While that might not be anything surprising, since they are two beautiful women exiting from an outstanding ship, she could feel a few shrewd gazes among the admiring and lust-filled gazes. Robin's armament is barely average since Amon didn't really need her to be a fighter, but her observation haki is better than most. Nowadays, it's almost the norm for people around Amon to have strong observation haki. But even with that, she was having a hard time focusing on those particular gazes because of the crowd. Robin maintained her smile and whispered to Rocky, "Do you see anything out of the ordinary?" she asked, knowing about wisdom eyes. Rocky smiled as the two of them started walking casually. "It's a few well-built men and a woman wearing black robes and shades. Suspicious. Oh, they are following us." "Following, huh? Foo-foo, suspicious indeed." Robin grabbed Rocky's hands and started walking. Rocky used her wisdom eyes to look through walls and search for an empty area. Pus! Inside a white room, lots of scientific equipment decorated the boring walls. The room reeked of chemicals with the clear sound of different chemicals boiling apparent. In front of the computer, sitting in the middle of the room, a little boy was sitting on a comfy chair with his eyes locked on the screen while a tall man stood beside him. "So how does this work?" the little boy, Karna, asked, looking at the screen that had a line of DNA, or, as the scientists of One Piece like to call, lineage factor, dancing on it. "Like, I get the gist of it, but the factor is supposed to be extremely fragile. How can we artificially change it?" The person standing beside him, Vinsmoke Judge, crossed his arms at this. "That's the mystery. If we knew that, creating devil fruits that don't even have the general devil fruit weakness wouldn't be a problem." He then said with a slight pride in his voice, "Though for your knowledge, I have almost achieved it." This caused Karna to widen his eyes as Judge grinned. "I can create artificial abilities. 3 of my children's lineage were changed to a point where they gained special abilities: a poison body, an electricity ability, and an energy controlling ability." He added, "The problem is, according to my formula, only a fetus who is inside their mother's womb can survive lineage manipulation. An adult or even a child would die immediately." Karna then moved his gaze at the screen again and turned the page to show a picture of a devil fruit. "If that's the case, how does devil fruits work? We know that devil fruits change a person's lineage factor, but contrasting to what your research says, why can people of any age eat a fruit and get special abilities?" Judge frowned and said in a slightly annoying tone, "That's what we are researching." He added, "From Caesar Clown's research that Lord Amon has gotten us, we are aware that, unlike my way of doing things in Caesar's way, directly altering an adult's lineage would immediately kill him, and while doing that to children would also result in death, it would happen slowly, it has the same result. For example, Caesar has tried making some human children into giants by altering their factor, but none of them lived past a certain age." He added, "Still, while his research on making artificial giants has helped us close to zero, his research on Slamies has helped us a lot." Well, calling it his research would be incorrect as the first model was made by Vegapunk. "So can the Slimies change the so-called lineage without any backlash?" Karna asked, his eyes filled with curiosity of an extreme caliber. Judge glanced at Karna for a second. He couldn't understand why his lord had asked him to share their research with this child. He daren't question Amon's judgment, but this still bewildered him. In the end, he gave up. He shook his head internally and opened his mouth. "No, not really. With my formula, you can change a fetus lineage, but when he grows up, he would still be able to eat a devil fruit without getting his body exploded. It's the same with Caesar's giant children. While they are still alive, they can still eat a devil fruit without dying. But if we use a slimy to change a person's lineage, the person would die immediately when he eats another devil fruit, or in this case, if the person has already eaten a fruit before. So since Lord Amon has already eaten a devil fruit, using this method won't work." Karna hummed. "Oh yeah, I almost forgot. We are researching this so that we can alter Big Brother's lineage with ores, while also not making him grow in size or die outright, right?" Judge was almost angry at the kid for forgetting about the main reason for this talk, but he just took a deep breath. "Yes." Looking down on the floor, Karna then tilted his head. "Even the best scientist alive, Vegapunk, couldn't do it?" A strange light flashed upon his eyes. "Is this an opportunity to become the best?" "Fine. Then I will do it myself." Using her wisdom eyes, Reiki guided Robin to an empty area where people weren't around. It didn't even take seconds before they were surrounded by people clad in black. "Yo, you guys sure you're not targeting the wrong bunnies?" Reiki stated with her hand resting on one of the two swords that rested on either side of her waist. Unlike before, she doesn't use Kitetsu 2 and 3 anymore. She rather uses Shiki's twin blades that are both one of the 21 great grade swords. Kitetsu 2 went to Tsumi, and Kitetsu 3 went to Brook, and they haven't shown any signs of being cursed by the swords. At least Tsumi hasn't. Noticing Brook being cursed is a bit hard. Among the 7 people surrounding them, one of the fragile-looking ones stepped forward. The person raised their hand towards their robe and pulled it down, revealing the face of a beautiful light blue-haired girl. "I sincerely apologize to greet you like this. I had no other choice," the girl said. "I am the first princess of Suzdal Kingdom, Suzdal Eula. It's a pleasure meeting you." She curtsied by tugging her gown with a dignified look on her face. Robin stopped Reiki from drawing her sword and revealed a professional smile. "I have met you before, Princess Eula. But would you mind explaining your actions? We were supposed to be received by your younger brother, Prince Lucard, correct?" The princess thinned her lips. "You're correct, but I have my reasons." "Oh, and what might they be?" "This morning I have gathered that my brother, Lucard, has made a deal with the neighboring Yashuk Kingdom. From what I've gathered, Yashuk Kingdom has promised him the throne if he manages to kill you, Miss Robin," she said, looking at Robin's huge frown. I am afraid if you'd chosen to ride with my brother, you would have been assassinated." "I see." She went silent before continuing. "But do you have any evidence? How can I trust that you haven't been offered the same offer as your brother?" Robin started, but she was interrupted by Rocky. "Hey, come on, Robin. Look how beautiful she is. Do you believe she can lie?" Rocky put an arm around Robin's shoulders while her eyes examined the curves under the robe the princess was wearing. "She looks so genuine about it." Robin wanted to say something, but before she could, Rocky added, "And besides," a small smile formed on her lips as she locked eyes with Eula. "Even if the one wanting to kill you is the princess, not the prince, the changes that create are close to zero." Robin looked at her as the sudden realization hit her. Reiki smirked. "They want to assassinate you, so they have prepared people strong enough for you. But they didn't expect me to tag along, did they?" A small chuckle left her as she stared at the princess's eyes with her snake-like golden pupils. "I want to see anyone even try touching your hair. It doesn't matter if it's the prince or princess. I would like to see how they stop me from burning this kingdom if something happens to you." Kill Robin? Do they have a death wish? Reiki is usually sarcastic and laid back. But this was not one of those situations. She didn't say those lines because she would be sad at Robin's death. She said it because, if anything happened to Robin, Amon would destroy everyone related to it. Robin was a valuable asset. Her death would be a blast to Amon's plans and professional life. Not only would he lose the only person who can read the poneglyphs, but he would also lose the person who's been managing all the business he owns by herself. Of course, new people can be assigned, but it would still be a bothersome thing to do. Rocky believed if Amon suffered that great of a loss at this point of his life, when he is very close to taking over the world, he would not only go berserk, he might even destroy the world with his own hands. Of course, that's what she was assuming because that's what she would do. She assumed her brother would do the same. Rocky doesn't know Amon's final goal, but what she does know is Amon wants to gain power. So much power that it shouldn't be possible to gain on this planet. So he wants to travel the space, seize more powers from different species inhabiting this universe, and finally reach the top of the food chain. But his obsession didn't end with power alone. He was obsessed with control. He doesn't only want absolute power, he also wants absolute control over everything, though Rocky didn't know why. It's almost as if he had a past that she isn't aware of, a past that had changed his mind to become that of a control freak that lives today. With that obsession of his, now that he is so close to taking a big step and gaining control over this whole planet, she believed he would go on a killing spree if a valuable asset such as Robin was to die. She turned her gaze from the horizon outside the window and looked at Robin conversing with the princess named Eula. They entered the steam engine carriage that Eula brought and went to the capital. "Miss Eula, what more information did you gather?" Robin asked. "If your information network is strong enough to gather information on my attempted assassination, you must have more knowledge, right?" Eula seemed hesitant as she sighed. "Truthfully, I am not brave enough to say it. It's fine. I can at least assure you some mere words won't make me angry. Not unless they are about a certain someone," Robin stated calmly. "Then," the princess said, "it seems the Big Mom pirates are the actual culprit behind this. Since the Yashuk kingdom is their territory, it seems they ordered the assassination. As for why I was unwilling to say this, I have heard Emperor Amon has a good relationship with Big Mom, so I was quite unsure if this information is correct or not." Robin frowned hearing this. "Is that so?" She paused. "But it doesn't make sense. Lucy once told me how Big Mom was interested in me and even offered a big sum if he would agree to trade me. I don't think she would want to assassinate me." A silence fell in the carriage as only the sound of the engine was present there. "Well, maybe try connecting the dots in another way?" Rocky broke the silence. "Maybe Big Mom wants to fake the assassination and kidnap you instead? That way, Brother would assume you were killed by the Yashuk kingdom. He would direct his rage at them. In the meantime, the real culprit, Big Mom, would still be able to maintain a good relationship with Brother? After all, I don't even think she wants to go to war with another emperor. This caught both Eula and Robin off guard. Now it was clear as water. It is certainly a possibility indeed. Robin made a thinking pose. That's right. More so when Lucy would realize that I have been killed and would want to avenge me. Big Mom would lend a helping hand by destroying the Yashuk kingdom, her own territory, to solidify her friendship and form some form of alliance. Robin's eyes went wider the more she talked and realized the weight of her own words as she looked at Rocky. Rocky, you're a genius! Rocky casually shrugged. She was quite smart. Just copying Amon for 20 years of her life was enough for that to be true. She played around most of the time, so people assumed otherwise. Robin was one of them, so this was quite a surprising situation for her. The princess, Eula, then parted her lips. So, bang! But the sound of a gun firing cut her. Immediately after the sound was heard, time froze for Robin and Eula. The window's glass of the carriage shattered as a bullet rushed towards Eula's head. The said princess didn't even know her death was this close to her, and she wouldn't know either, since a beam of light rushed towards the bullet at light speed and vaporized it in an instant. Kaya! Time returned to normal as Eula covered her ears and released a squeak. The carriage came to an abrupt stop after another gunshot was sounded. Eula and Robin could only assume the reason being the diver's death. Are you all right? Eula looked up to find Rocky looking at her with an indifferent look on her face while her finger was pointed at the window. A line of smoke was coming out her finger, her palm slightly green and her nails long, indicating her partial Zoan transformation. It's a bunch of weaklings. No need to get worked up. While Robin placed a hand on Eula's shoulder to calm her down, Rocky stood up from her seat and pushed the door of the carriage and walked out casually. Outside, a black carriage slowly stopped as 5 men with guns walked out. A skinny, middle-aged man with a bald head and a cigarette in his mouth raised an eyebrow while casually playing with the revolver on his palms. This chick looks familiar. Scratch that. She looks very familiar. After narrowing his eyes for a second, his eyelids jumped up as a horrified expression took over his face. Wait, is that... Phew! He wasn't able to finish as a yellow beam of light rushed towards his face, blinding the whole place with the sound of an explosion traveling far and wide. Boom!